Hi everyone, I'm Marcy, and today I'm making New Mexico style empanadas de carne, or meat turnovers. This is a recipe that was requested quite a while back, but I'm finally getting around to making it, and it's a good one. Empanadas, or empanaditas as some people call them, are super delicious. It's a great idea if you need something to make for dinner or if you're having a party. Everyone will love them. Empanadas de carne can be made all sorts of ways. I'm going to be sticking to a more traditional New Mexico recipe that goes way back. You'll need either 2 pounds of beef or pork or a combination of the two, and we're going to be turning it into mincemeat. I'm going with beef, and what I did is I just boiled it in water, cooked it until tender, took it out of the water, but saved that beef stock because we may be using some of that for later. And right now it's just cooling before we grind it. You'll also need half a cup of piñones or pine nuts, half a teaspoon allspice, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon salt. Now, if you want, you can add in half a cup of raisins or half a cup of apple butter. That's pretty common in this recipe, but I'm just gonna go with this. Then for the dough, you're going to need 1 teaspoon dry active yeast, which is about half of one of these packets. You'll need 3 cups of lukewarm water, 2 tablespoons sugar, 1.5 teaspoons salt, 1 egg, 4 tablespoons shortening, and then enough flour to make our dough. This isn't an exact amount because we're gonna go by feel, but it's probably in the neighborhood of about 6 cups. So make sure you have plenty of flour, and also make sure you have plenty of oil that we'll be using for frying. So that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, I already cooked the meat by boiling it in water, and now I'm going to place it into my food processor, along with the pine nuts, the allspice, the nutmeg, the sugar, and the salt. And I have my leftover meat stock on standby. I'm just going to grind all these ingredients together until I have a moist, thick filling. If it's too dry, go ahead and add a little of that meat stock. Oh, this is so good. It's got a sweet and savory combination that's just delicious. Now, I ended up using a little less than half a cup of the beef stock, and it gave me the perfect consistency. You want it to be moist, but not overly runny. This looks just about right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the refrigerator and then get started on the dough. For this, I'm placing the yeast into a large bowl, along with the sugar and the salt. I give it a quick mix. Then I add in the lukewarm water and mix until it's dissolved. I then melt the shortening by microwaving it for about 30 to 45 seconds. And I'm going to crack my egg into a bowl and lightly beat it. I pour the egg into the yeast mixture, along with the melted shortening, and mix to combine. Then I began adding in the flour while mixing with the rubber spatula. You want enough flour to create a dry dough. I ended up using a little more than 8 cups of flour just to be able to work with this. At this point, you'll want to break it into smaller pieces that you can roll into a ball and then roll out with a rolling pin into discs that are about 1/8 of an inch thick. And you'll want to work quickly because we use yeast and your dough is going to want to rise. Roll it out flat as best as you can. Then take each one of those discs and fill it with a couple of heaping tablespoons of the mincemeat. Fold the dough over and seal the outer edges of each empanada by turning the dough over onto itself and pinching it in place to form a ridge. When you're done, it should look something like this. Set it aside and continue making the rest. Place the formed empanadas in the refrigerator to chill a minimum of 10 minutes. Once all your empanadas are formed and placed in the refrigerator, you can start heating the oil in a saucepan or skillet. Just place it on the stovetop over medium-high heat and pour enough oil in to where it's a couple of inches deep. Once the oil is nice and hot, take the chilled empanadas and carefully drop them into the oil one at a time. Flip them over and let them fry until golden brown on both sides. Then let the excess oil drain onto a paper towel and continue frying the rest. These empanadas de carne are all done. This recipe ended up making me 2 dozen. You can actually make more if you make them a little smaller. Mine are kind of on the bigger side, and I've still got a few more left to fry that are sitting in the refrigerator that I'll do later. I just wanted to serve these while they're still nice and hot, and I like to serve them with guacamole. I've got some salsa, some queso. You can use sour cream. It's all good, but I'm gonna break one of these open and see what they look like on the inside. Ooh, they're super soft and there's a good amount of meat inside. Let me take a bite. Seriously, oh my gosh, I love them. They're so tasty. Who doesn't love fried dough, right? So you've got that going, but then the meat, it's so delicious. It's got a little sweetness to it that's fantastic. You can make empanadas with ground beef, potatoes, chili, that sort of thing. But try it this way. It's kind of traditional to have it both savory and sweet, and it's fantastic. Also, I do want to tell you that working with this dough is a little difficult because of the yeast. It tends to want to rise, and you have to roll it really thin. But it's worth the effort because when you fry it, it puffs up like this, sort of like a sopapilla. It's just wonderful. I really hope you try this recipe. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do so right now. It doesn't cost you a thing, but that way you don't miss any one of my recipes. I gotta keep eating now. Thanks so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. I also invite you to follow me at Marcy Inspired on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, blessings from my kitchen to yours.